You ever have one of those mornings where the universe decides to smash up everything you've built, just to see if you're paying attention? That was me, standing barefoot on the dock at 5:43 a.m., coffee still hot in my hand, while an excavator's claw punched straight through the mahogany deck of my yacht. Splinters of Brazilian hardwood rained down into the water, and with every crunch, 3 years of undercover work unraveled right in front of me, all under the satisfied, icy gaze of Marisol Devo, president of the Waterfront Estates HOA. Yeah, that happened. She even had the gall to bark out orders like she was loading up for some kind of twisted party cruise, telling the crew to salvage the navigation gear. Said the brass was worth its weight in gold. Thing is, Marisol thought she was just putting some arrogant boat owner in his place. She didn't know the boat she was tearing to pieces belonged to a federal harbor master. She didn't know the guy she'd slapped with $11,200 in fake fines was watching her empire implode, counting down the minutes until federal agents would be all over this marina. That was me, Thaddeus Blackstone, by the way. And that yacht? Not just my pride and joy. It was a floating command center for one of the longest, most complicated stings I've ever run. But let me back up a sec, because stories like this never start where you think they do. See, about a month before, I was sitting in the cabin of the Siren's Call, my 65-foot Hatteras, surrounded by classified Coast Guard reports and encrypted radios humming like angry bees. This yacht, the one Marisol would soon claim was an aesthetic nuisance, had been seized from a cartel 3 years ago, retrofit with enough surveillance tech to make James Bond blush. My cover? A retired tech guy, just another loner who liked his privacy, paid cash at auction. The truth? I was there to untangle a network of drug routes, money laundering, and, yeah, you guessed it, one very ambitious HOA. My morning peace got interrupted by the sharp click of heels on the dock. I watched Marisol march down in a cream blazer that probably cost more than my college tuition, flanked by 2 women clutching tablets like weapons. They called themselves compliance officers. The whole thing was pure theater. She slapped a laminated notice in my hand, loaded with enough bureaucratic nonsense to give you a migraine. Maritime aesthetic standards, failure to register with her HOA, incorrect mooring configuration, and my personal favorite, vessel color scheme not approved by the Architectural Review Board. My boat was white with blue trim. If that's a crime, so is owning a refrigerator. She wanted money, $11, $200, or she'd have my boat impounded and demolished to recover costs. And the scam wasn't subtle. Fake fines, made-up rules, and a promise that if I didn't pay, they'd just take the yacht and sell it off anyway. I played along, because I needed to see just how deep this went. The marina regulars noticed, too. Dale, the old fisherman 3 slips down, sidled over and muttered, "You're not the first." Boats just vanish, then show up months later, painted and running party cruises. One of his buddies, Fletcher, had his Catalina demolished and swore he'd spotted it out on the water just last week, now moonlighting as a booze cruise. I turned the Siren's Call into my own surveillance nest, night vision cameras, recorders, everything. Over the next month, I watched as Marisol's HOA rolled out fake violations, jacked up fines, and funneled demolished boats to her husband's shell company, which then converted them into floating casinos, skipping out to international waters for high-stakes poker and untaxed liquor runs. She wasn't just harassing boaters. She was running a criminal operation, and her tentacles reached deep. Local cops, her brother-in-law, fake attorneys, paid-off marina employees. It was a racket, and I knew I'd need irrefutable proof. So, yeah, I poked the bear, added flags, rod holders, even blasted some Bach during her quiet hours. The fines stacked up like bad lottery tickets. Each notice came hand-delivered by Veronica, her favorite compliance officer, who once pulled me aside and whispered, "Marisol always wins. Don't be stupid." But something in her eyes said she wasn't totally on board with the scheme. Little did I know, she was playing her own long game. That's where Fletcher came in, the former FBI agent whose boat had disappeared. We met at a rundown diner, and he handed over a thumb drive loaded with 6 months of evidence, financial trails, forgeries, audio of Marisol plotting with her crew, photos of boats prepped for illegal cruises. But local law? Too cozy with the HOA. Been waiting for someone with federal jurisdiction, Fletcher told me. I knew what had to happen. I had to let them take my yacht. On camera, in front of witnesses, with every detail documented. If you're thinking that's a hell of a risk, you're not wrong. But sometimes you gotta give up the queen to catch the king. On the big day, Marisol showed up bright and early, demolition crew in tow. She had all her paperwork, her fake attorney, even a guy in a suit waving a removal order. I played dumb right up until the excavator fired up. As the claw tore through the siren's call, I sent one text, now. And then all hell broke loose. Sirens from every direction. Coast Guard cutters appeared out of the mist, blue lights flashing. Black SUVs rolled up, FBI agents in tactical gear fanned out, and a chopper thudded overhead. Marisol's smirk faded fast. Veronica, turns out her real name was Victoria, and she was IRS, walked up, offered her wrists for cuffs, and told Marisol she'd been undercover for 18 months, documenting every tax dodge and dirty dollar. I finally pulled my own badge, Thaddeus Blackstone, Federal Harbor Master, and explained exactly who she'd just tangled with. Watching the color drain from her face was, well, let's just say I didn't feel bad about it. But the real twist? Those demolished boats tried to flee for open water, loaded with gamblers and politicians who'd thought they were above the law. Coast Guard snatched them all. The fallout was wild. Judges, bankers, even the deputy police chief got swept up. Bank accounts frozen. Millions seized. Stolen boats returned. Victims repaid, with interest. Marisol crumbled in hours. Patricia, her other enforcer, sobbed in the back of a squad car, offering up a play-by-play of the whole scheme. They had plans to spread this operation up and down the coast, taking over marinas from here to Boston. Their ambition was almost impressive, if it hadn't been so damn evil. The investigation went national. Thanks to Marisol's cooperation in exchange for a lighter sentence, she started naming names, spilling on a network of dirty HOAs doing the same scam in 14 other marinas. The so-called Admiral, a disgraced Navy officer, was arrested in Miami trying to flee on, get this, a stolen yacht. Fletcher got his Catalina back, battered but alive. Dale was finally able to sleep at night. The courtroom was packed for sentencing. Victims stood up, one by one, and told the judge what years of HOA extortion had done to their lives. The sentences came down heavy. 22 years for Marisol, 18 for Garrett, and a warning from the judge that would echo through every marina in America. Abuse your authority, and you'll pay. Congress even passed new laws, federal oversight for any HOA touching a marina, a national database for demolished boats, new funding for enforcement. Dale started a real marina association, democratic and transparent. They even put up a memorial plaque at my old slip. Here sailed the Siren's Call, the yacht that saved Newport Harbor. I won't lie, I choked up when I saw it. It's been 3 years since the dust settled. The marina's thriving. Kids learning to sail where Marisol once stalked the docks, families gathering for festivals. I got a new boat, named her Justice's Wake. Every once in a while, I visit the memorial and remember what it cost, not just in wood and steel, but in sleepless nights, trust broken, and hard-won victories. Now, Marisol's name is a punchline for HOA horror stories nationwide. She'll be a long time behind bars, and every year, more reforms roll out. Protection for boat owners, new task forces, real oversight. Fletcher wrote a book. The Weatherby twins doubled their charter business. Dale became the unofficial historian, telling this tale to every new face that walks the dock. Sometimes justice means sacrifice. Sometimes it means standing alone, trusting the right people, or letting your best asset go up in smoke just to bring down a bigger monster. But every time I see laughter echo across Newport Harbor, I know I'd make the same trade again. So, tell me, what would you have done? Played it safe, or taken the risk? Where's the line between order and overreach, between protection and power trip? Let me know what you think. Drop your story, your opinion, your outrage. Because in the end, freedom on the water, or anywhere, comes from people willing to stand up and say enough. And as long as I've got breath in my lungs and a badge on my chest, nobody's stealing that from this community again.